How's it going, my car dudes? Liam here, and in front of me is a car that many of you guys haven't seen for a while. This is my dad's 2017 Porsche 718 Cayman, and we recently just surpassed 7 years of ownership with this car. So I thought I would do a little 7-year ownership review. So I'll structure it like this. I'll show you guys how the car has worn over 7 years, or it's now sitting at about 32,000 kilometers. I'll go over things we've done to the car over the years, and then at the end I'll go over 5 things I like and 5 things I dislike about it. Let's start off and go over how the car has worn over 7 years. It is a bit dirty, I apologize about that. It gets used a fair amount nowadays. But coming inside, everything looks fairly tidy. The seats have worn quite well. These aren't actually the original seat. This isn't the original seat material actually underneath. These are just seat covers actually. It's red, but underneath it's black and Alcantara. Steering wheel has worn quite well. It's not super shiny. Still has that, you know, nice leather feel to it. Here's the key fob. It's worn quite well over the past 7 years. Very, very minimal sort of rubbing or wearing against the buttons, but you know, nothing too crazy. Mileage, we're looking at a whopping 32,293 kilometers. I think I'm right in saying that this is the highest mileage 718 Sabrina. The highest mileage 718 Cayman in Sri Lanka. I know there are a few Boxsters that have 718 Boxsters that have higher mileage, but in terms of 718 Caymans, I think this pretty much takes the cake. At least that's what the Porsche dealership tells me. Fires up no problem. It's still on its original battery, which is kind of impressive after 7 years. But yeah, that's the interior. As you can see, everything is wearing quite well, which you would expect of a Porsche. Cup holders get used greatly to hold either my fat Visco Girl flask or my Red Bull that I consume way too much of. And yeah, everything else is just wearing fine. You really couldn't tell that this car is 7 years old. There are no major squeaks or rattles. Even just shutting the door, you know, everything feels super solid, just as solid as it did the day we picked up the car in January of 2017. I know that on the outside, these wheels, they have been repainted, and they're already not already coming off. I won't name who repainted them for us, but they did not do a good job at all. This number plate has seen better days. You can see there's a little thing here. I was following my friend's Mitsubishi Evo, and he had like a vent thing or something around here on the hood, and this was at like 2 in the morning, and it just flew off and hit me right in the number plate. It scared the hell out of me because I thought I hit a dog or something, so I like called him and said, pull over, I hit something. And we noticed that was missing, and then this like took a chunk out of the number plate. So yeah, not a big deal, but yeah, we had to replace 2 wheels on this side because we were out of town on a Porsche club drive, and my dad hit a like a cement, I don't know what the term is, but it's one of those like cement things in the middle of the road, and yeah, it took out both wheels. So that was fun. Insurance loved us for that. And yeah, and then these also have been repainted. The air intakes, these are holding out quite well. These actually, it's quite common to find them if they're painted on a car instead of the black plastic that they come in from factory. They start to chip and peel, especially around here. It's fairly common and it's not a big deal. Just get them repainted. Another thing I noticed recently about this car is this light has a slight little crack in it. So yeah, minor things here and there. It's really not too bad. Now we'll go over the things that we've done to the car. We'll start off with the interior actually. In about June of 2020, we not reupholstered, we basically got these red seat covers put on the car. Underneath, it's actually just the base interior. It only has the black sort of leatherette on the outside and the suede or Alcantara on the inside. Pretty nice color combo. I don't know, I think my dad just got bored during COVID and I was like, you know what, I want to put red seats in my car. So yeah, he did that. I should mention this car actually isn't very high spec wise. It's actually fairly low spec. It has the essentials, like it has sport chrono, it has PDK because my dad didn't want a manual. It has the 20-inch Carrera S wheels, S or Sport, one of the two, I forgot which one. Yellow gauges, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, heated steering wheel, because a quirk of Porsche is that to get steering wheel controls, you need to get a heated steering wheel. I don't understand why in this country we have zero use for a heated steering wheel, but sure, Porsche, give it to us. But yeah, it doesn't have Bose, it lacks a lot of the power seat features, heated seats, you know, it's a pretty base spec car, and I think that's perfectly okay. I think you can enjoy this car to its fullest potential even in a low spec form. So let's get out and check out the rest of it. Now on to the things that we did to this car in terms of the exterior. In about, this is the end of 2020, I'm thinking like December of 2020, this car was wrapped in satin black. I'm sure a lot of you remember it. I have some videos of this car on my channel when it was like that. It was nice for a while. I think eventually I sort of outgrew it, and then my dad just didn't get around to unwrapping it. And then finally, beginning of last year, actually, we unwrapped it, and I was just like starstruck. I was in awe of how good this car looked. I forgot how good it looked. And it also suited the wing a bit better. I'll get to this wing in a minute, but yeah. So yeah, it was wrapped in satin black. We actually did have yellow tint on the headlights for the first few days. I tried to like it. I did really like it, actually, I can't lie, but it just wasn't a look for this car, so we took them off. The next thing we did was something that any sane Porsche owner would do. We straight piped it, well, catback. So we got an AW tuning exhaust with no black boxes, no muffler. It's just, you know, catback, straight pipe, Subaru goodness. And yeah, I'm not gonna say it sounds good, but I will say that I really do like the sound of it because it's so loud and obnoxious and in your face. I like that. I drive past like a nightclub at like 3 in the morning. I just forward past and I look like an absolute moron, and I like that about this car. And now the elephant in the room, this mighty wing. Look, I like the idea of it. I like the way it looks. I just don't know if this is the right wing for it. This is all my dad's idea. I came home from school one day and he's like, oh, I put a wing on the car, it looks like a GT4. Not quite that, but you know, I like the thing. It's some cheap eBay, yeah, it's all right. There's 2 issues with it why I don't think it properly works to what my father's intentions were. Number 1, it's a cheap wing. It's some cheap eBay floppy, you know, yeah. And the second reason is this mini spoiler here. I always keep this up because I think it just looks better. It looks a bit goofy with it down, in my opinion. I don't know. This should be the ducktail spoiler. If this gets replaced with a ducktail spoiler, this will make it look a lot better. Yeah, that's my take on it. I like the idea of it. I like the silhouette of it. I agree 100% that this car needs a better wing, but you know, it's all right. It's fine. All right, let's hop in because it's boiling hot, and I'll go over the things I like and dislike about it. Okay, I'm gonna try not to make this be like just me talking away. I have a list on my phone, but I'll try and overlay some clips and footage I have of this car. So we'll start off with the things I like about it. Starting off with number 1, I think it is a very good looking car. There are lots of people who dislike the way the first gen Cayman looks, the 987. They greatly improved with the 981, and I think the 982, which is what this is, was just a slight improvement over that. I think the car looks really, really good, especially from the side profile, the rear 3/4 profile I really like. Not so much the front. I think the front is the real minger corner of the car, if you want to put it that way. But overall, I think the car looks great, and I think it gets the right amount of attention, sometimes a bit too much attention in this city. But it's a really good looking car. The second thing that I really like about this car is that it gets fantastic fuel economy, and I don't mean this. Yeah, that's not fantastic. By fantastic, I mean when you baby this car. I'll give you a good example. I did a road trip in this car from Colombo to Tangol, Tangol to Hiriketia, Hiriketia to Ahangama, Ahangama to Gaul, and then Gaul back to Colombo. and it was a distance of, I think, about 430, 440 odd kilometers. And I used less than 3/4 of a tank, and the fuel tank is about 50 something liters, so a relatively small tank. 430, 40 odd kilometers, less than 3/4 of a tank. I was doing on the highway about 14 and a half kilometers per liter, which is really good for a two-seater turbocharged sports car. I think that's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, if you want an economical sports car, you know, that isn't a BMW i8, because, you know, that car is a bit too economical, but we won't get bogged down with those details. If you want a sports car that isn't a BMW i8 that is economical, Porsche Cayman. The next thing I really like about this car is that it handles like literally nothing else. I've taken this car on several drives out of the city, toge runs, if you want to put it that way, and it literally just, it corners like nothing. It mesmerizes me every time I get behind the wheel of it. You turn it and it turns. There's no fuss, there's no dramas. You know, if you're a good driver, especially, you take the right lines and you have the gear changes all in order, it really just holds its own, and nothing can compare to it on a twisty road. It's absolutely fantastic. The next thing I like is that it is a fairly practical sports car, because let's not forget, this isn't the 911. The 911 has a rear mounted engine. This engine is in the middle. So you have two trunks. You have a trunk in the front, and you also have a trunk in the back. And unlike the Boxster, you can actually utilize the space on top of the engine, because this is a Cayman. In the Boxster, the top would go there. And you know, you can take a fair amount of luggage with you, obviously just for two people, but if you pack fairly heavily for two people, you have plenty of space. The last thing I really like about this car is that it's relatively reliable compared to the other cars that we've had in the past, you know, compared to, say, the Ranger, the 740e, the Q7 we just sold recently. I have a farewell video of that coming up. My E39, that kind of goes without saying. We haven't had any major issues with this car. It's never failed to start. It's never left us stranded. We had one issue with this car, but it wasn't the car's fault. This was during the fuel crisis, and the car just was sitting for about 4 or 5 months. Basically, a rat had gone in and chewed up the high fuel pressure sensor, which caused the car to run like, well, take a listen for yourself. So yeah, as fun as it was to prank my friends telling them I put anti-lag on the Cayman, it just wasn't ideal. You couldn't drive it. So yeah, we had to get it towed just for that instance. But I think 7 years and this car's never ever, you know, had a major issue. I think that's really impressive, because there's this whole stigma with Porsche, and you know, people are like, oh, Porsches are unreliable, they're Germans, it'll end up on a tow truck. You know, this car, knock on wood, has been fantastic to us. It's never let us down, and I think that's something that people need to recognize more. Porsche really makes good cars. They're very reliable. Now onto the things that I dislike about this car, and really there are very few things I dislike about this car. I love this car very much. But of course, no car is perfect. So here are the things I dislike. Number one, the interior has minimal space. Take this center console for now. This car was designed in 2016. It was launched in 2016, right? So phones were already getting bigger back then, right? By today's standards, this is an iPhone 14. Yeah, you're not fitting anything. Well, that's not gonna hold. So yeah, this is just big enough for like our gate clicker. It does make up for it with the two fairly large door pockets. You know, there's a lot of stuff I can fit in here, and also the glove box is a very generous size. But yeah, I feel like that could be more. The cup holders do help if you want, you know, to use navigation. I just jerry-rig my phone like that because we don't have CarPlay. The next thing, it's not directly towards Porsche 718 Caymans and Boxsters. It's more to do with this specific country that we live in, Sri Lanka. And this isn't specific to just the Porsche dealership. It's actually most vehicle main dealers. The service is subpar at best. And again, it's not just Porsche who does this. Audi is also, they're okay. BMW is absolute garbage. For God's sake, don't go to BMW, or at least the main dealer. I'm not going to name them, but don't go to the main dealer here. Same with Ford, especially, my God, Ford, I would eat my left shoe over sending the Ranger there again. They're absolute garbage. There are a few, you know, vehicle main dealers here that are actually quite good, like Mercedes. I haven't heard much bad stuff about them. Toyota also, I think they're the largest network around Sri Lanka, and Mitsubishi is okay as well. Look, most of these companies were struggling because there was no parts to import, and you know, no vehicles to import. We still can't import cars, so it's a bit difficult. Everyone is really struggling, but I just feel like the service could be just that little bit better. Something as simple, I took it in yesterday to adjust the exhaust tips. It's a 5-minute job, and you know, the exhaust tip was a bit loose. Just, you know, loosen and tighten up a screw, and you know, I should have been out. It took like an hour to do, and they charged me like 8,000 rupees. Like, why? It's literally a 5-minute job, and yeah, there should be no labor associated with that. But you know what, sure, that's what you get with Porsche. But yeah, again, it's not exclusive to just the Porsche dealership. Most dealerships in this country are like that. But yeah, that's what. And the last thing that I dislike about this car, and it's actually really bad, it's a safety hazard. The headlights in this car are absolute garbage. These are the base spec headlights. They are so bad. I cannot like even just describe how bad they are. Especially driving late at night on a, you know, windy road. It's scary because you literally cannot see anything. I'm pretty sure my E39, my 25-year-old E39 has better headlights than this car. They're that bad. And you'd think, oh, why don't you just retrofit the upgraded lights? You can do that. It's just really difficult because you have to change the wiring harness, and it's a very labor-intensive job. So we just haven't been bothered to do it. But you'd expect for a sports car that would have better lights, and this car, the lights are pretty crap. But what to do? All right, well, I think that pretty much sums up this 7-year review of this 2017 Porsche 718 Cayman. If anyone watching is interested in buying a Cayman or Boxster, I hope this gave you a good idea of what it is like to own one of these cars over an extended period of time. In this country, I don't think they're worth what they're going for now. They're going for like 45-50 million. I think that's a ridiculous price. But if you can find one for a reasonable price, or if you're watching this in a country that has normal car prices, go for it, because I promise you it is worth every single penny. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Drive safely till then.